Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Nicole with Made from Scrap, and let's get started with the tutorial. So this is going to be 2 sheets of heavy chipboard, and those measure 9 inches by 9 inches. So we're making a square folio with a hard cover. And then we have one piece that is our spine piece, and this measures 2 inches wide by 9 inches tall. So I cut those already down, and I'm going to place those over to the side. Next, we're going to go ahead and cut our covers. So our covers for the chipboard are going to be cut down to 11 by 11. We'll have 2 of those. Okay, and we are going to do the lay flat method. So I'm going to get my handy dandy little spacers here, and I'm going to use glue to put this down. You can use double-sided tape as well, but I am using art glitter glue for this. So these spacers are 1 inch a piece, and by putting one at the top and one on the side, you can actually place your chipboard down very easily here, and you end up with 1 inch all the way around. So I'm just going to turn that over and get out my tool here and go ahead and burnish that to spread that glue around really well. Okay, and I'll set that aside, and I'm going to do the same thing with my next piece. So you need a second piece that measures 11 by 11. And then we're going to go ahead and glue that one, or adhere that one down to your paper as well. Alright, this is fast drying glue, so we're going to be quick about it. Turn it over and spread that glue out. Okay, I'm going to be covering this cardstock, so if some of your glue shows through, that's alright. Alright, the next piece you're going to need of your cardstock should measure 5 inches by 11. Now we're going to use the 1 inch spacer at the top, and you're going to use your green spacer or your 1.5 inch spacer on the left. And this is going to allow for some wings on either side of your spine piece, so that you can adhere those to the front and back covers, but only have 1 inch on the top and bottom. Oopsies. Okay, so let me go ahead and spread that glue out a bit. Okay, just like that. If you don't have these spacers, you can easily cut some chipboard strips and use those as well. But now we have this piece, and all you need to do is set this aside. Go ahead, and you're going to burnish all of the edges on all 4 sides. Let me get my tool here, throwing it around. Okay. Use my table and fold against that so I can get a clean, crisp fold. If you have watched my lay flat video, which is linked in the description box below, you'll see that I also like to go ahead and burnish next to the chipboard piece on this side. Helps me create those score lines really well defined so I can see it, because what we're going to end up doing is cutting those out, those corners out, just like so. Okay, and on our spine piece, we're going to go ahead and glue down the top and the bottom flaps. Only the top and the bottom. We're going to leave the sides alone, because like I said, we need those to adhere to our front and back cover. So we've cut those out. Oop, I need my little garbage can. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and glue the top and the bottom here. press against that chipboard, and then burnish real well. So bring it up, burnish, and burnish. Then you have the wings, and all I'm going to do here is use my scissors, place it against the chipboard piece, and go ahead and trim outward like this, just to make sure that we don't have any cardstock that won't be aligned with our chipboard. We're using the straight edge of our scissor right there to just trim those little pieces off. All right. Oh, I really need my garbage can over here. Okay. All right, so that one is done. Now we need the covers. Now on the covers, we're going to go ahead and burnish on all 4 sides. Just like so. Rotate it around. Like that. Burnished all of those, and then do my other cover. This is going to make a decent size, in our case, folio, and I hope you like it. Do you think this will be fun? Okay. Same thing on this one. And done. All right, let me place this aside. Okay, so same thing, we're going to go ahead and cut out the corners on these. So that includes my score line. This helps get rid of some of that bulk that you would otherwise have, in my opinion, by cutting on the angle. So, right. Last one here, or last cover anyhow. So I'm cutting up to the corner of the chipboard, just about. This is very close, maybe about a 1/16 of an inch off of it, because that is the thickness of that chipboard piece. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to use my glue here, and I'm going to place glue down each of these sides, each of these flaps, every one, and I'm going to go ahead and fold that over onto the side of the chipboard and just burnish it down. So I like to do the opposite sides from each other as I go along. Not that it really matters, okay? So if you don't do the opposite, it's quite fine. And you can see that this can go quite fast. Doesn't have to take a long time. It's more about getting to the pretty paper, in my opinion, but of course we have to do the work. I'm going to clean up this edge just a hair because I can see that it's hanging over just this little bit right here, this nub. So I'm going to cut that off. All right, let's get this folded over and burnished down. That's one. Moving on to the next one. I do need to get myself some more glue. I am getting down to what I consider the nitty-gritty because I usually have a lot of glue on hand. And my favorite is the Art Glitter Glue. So, in Florida, where I am, it is not usually a problem but in many cases, folks live in areas that get cold, and you have to consider ordering your glue in advance of the cold season because they do not ship. And if you find somewhere that ships the glue when it's cold, that's not who you want to be ordering from, okay? So, all right, now we have our cover pieces. So what we're going to do, what I like to do is I'm going to have my spine piece here, and I'm going to use my grid mat in order to line up with. So I have my 2 inches at the top, and I like to place glue on the wing of my spine piece like this. I like to stay away from that chipboard piece, but I come back to this inside of my cover and place a bead of glue just like so. Then I will turn it over and go ahead and place this down, again using the grid mat for the placement to make sure it is straight. And I'm usually using my scoreboard for this, so this is going to be quite large in the scoreboard because of how large we're making the album. So the other thing you can do is stand it up on your mat, but make sure that you burnish really well, okay, and you get that glue really adhered. And the next thing I do is again take my burnishing tool and just work the paper next to the side of that chipboard piece, okay? All right, so we're going to repeat that step quickly here, just like so. I'm going to go ahead and place glue on the second wing, and just like that. Okay, I'm leaving about just less than 1/4 inch in between the 2 chipboard pieces there. Turn this over, burnish really well. Okay. All right. Now, the next piece of cardstock that you need, it's going to measure in width. It measures 6 inches, and then it's going to measure in height 8 7/8 inches. And so I'm going to end up just centering this right onto my spine piece. So I'm going to place glue on the spine. Just like so. Center it top to bottom, left to right. I'm really not worried about measuring because I have plenty of width here. And I'm just going to burnish that down the spine really well. Then I'm going to, again, work my burnishing tool down into that groove on either side of the spine piece. Okay, you should see your artisan cardstock start to pucker upward. And that will allow you to put glue on the underside of that wing, like so, and then glue that down. Very important to make sure that you have burnished inside between the 2 chipboard pieces so that you are starting to train that paper to bend in that direction. So just like so. Okay. I'm going to turn this around real quick and do exactly the same thing with this other side. Just like that. Okay. All right. Just like that, we have our folio cover. Isn't that awesome? You made a book. All right. Let's get back to the scoring. So set that aside. All right. Get my scoreboard back out here. All right. So next thing we're going to have is a base piece. Grab it out here. And that base piece measures 10 inches by 9 inches. And we're going to go ahead and score that at 1 inch and 1.5 inches. 1 inch and 1.5 inches. And that's it for that. Set it aside. Next piece you're going to have is a piece that measures 9 and just in between 9 and 7/8 and 10. I cut it just shy of 10 because this is going to be a pocket, and then it's 3 inches tall. So on, I'll call it 10-inch side, you're going to score it at 1/2 inch. You're going to rotate it, score it at 1/2 inch again, rotate it one more time in the same direction, and score it for that third time at 1/2 inch. You'll end up with this pocket, and you should see these corners right here that we're going to cut out for the pocket, just like so. I also cut out the score, the width of the score line. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. Our next two pieces are going to be the side flaps. So you should have two pieces that measure 6 by 6, and we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. Okay, should have two of those. We're going to do that exactly the same way. Score it on one side at 1/2 inch. All right, next, moving right along, I'm going to have one piece that measures 10 inches by 7.5 inches. Okay, so with the 10 inches at the top, this is going to be a large pocket, and so with the 10 inches at the top, we're actually going to score this with 3/4 at 3/4 of an inch, and then at 9.25 inches. 9.25 inches. So you should have a 3/4 inch score on either side. Okay, and on the 7.5 inch side, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. This is going to be a large pocket. Okay. Next, you should have one piece that measures 6.25 by 4.25 inches, and we are going to set that aside because there is no scoring. Then we're going to have a piece that measures 6.25 inches by 4.75 inches, and with 4.75 inches at the top of our scoreboard, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. Okay, that's going to be a top flap. Then you should have two pieces that measure 6.75 inches by 4.25, and with the 6.75 inches at the top, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. And do exactly the same thing with that second piece. 1/2 inch. Okay? Alright, let me set this aside. And we're going to go ahead and work through what is going to be the left side of our album. So I'm going to take my pile that I had. Each piece, as I was doing it, I was setting it on the next one, and I'm going to turn it over so that I will have the first piece that we scored, which is the left-hand page. So I'm going to go ahead and burnish all of my score lines. Okay, so starting with that first piece, you should have the 1 inch that is here, a flap, and I'm going to bring in the album, and this is going to get attached just like so. On the left hand side, inside of the album. So what I want to do is I want to fold over just that half inch, just that 1 inch. So you should have 1 inch folded underneath, and then you should have the ½ inch here. I'm going to glue that 1 inch down so that I have a full inch that is attached to my album. Okay, so let me go ahead and get out my glue. I'll place glue there. We're creating this page and it's going to have a ½ inch gusset. Okay, so the reason I'm folding it as like this is so that I can actually see the left hand side of my album, okay, and make sure that it is flush with the outside of my album there. And then I know it's straight by looking at the bottom and the top and seeing that it aligns. Okay, so we're going to end up with that ½ inch gusset. I'm going to push it this way, burnish again, open it up, and burnish down that 1 inch, just like that. Okay, all right. All right, I'm going to set this aside for a minute. Let's move on to our pocket. So I like to fold over the sides of the pocket first, and then fold up the bottom of the pocket, okay, like this. Burnish that. Then we're going to have our 2 flaps. Those were the 6x6 pieces that we scored at ½ inch on one side. Okay, just like that. All right. So let's bring our album back in. All right, so we have that flap page that we just attached. You have this ½ inch gusset over here. What you should notice is that I made my pocket too big. Okay, I will fix that in the video. But let me go ahead and place this back in my scoreboard. I'm actually going to score it a ½ inch more. No fear. Cut off a ½ inch. Cut out the new corner. And burnish the side again. All right, well, let's try this again. You should notice that you have a pocket that fits just slightly smaller than your page, which is fine. We want to line it up. I want to line it up with the cut edge that's towards the inside. So we're going to have a pocket here, and then we're going to have these 2 pieces that were the 6x6 with a ½ inch flap on either side like this, and they're going to overlap but be opposites of each other. And I want to, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and put my pocket on first. So I'm going to place glue on those side little ½ inch flaps, and then along the bottom, like so. And the folded edge, I'll flatten this down, the folded edge of the bottom of the pocket is going to get placed so that it aligns with the bottom of that flat page we just attached. And then I'm going to align the right hand side here. Okay, so just make sure that you are not gluing over onto your ½ inch gusset there. Okay, let me place this underneath and you can actually see here. Okay, just like that. It aligns with this side. Now we're going to go ahead and place these here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave just about a little less than ¼ inch in between the bottom of this left hand flap and the top of that pocket. Okay, so place glue on your 1/2 inch flap there, and make sure that you're eyeballing so that you are straight. You don't want to be over into the 1/2 inch gusset, remember, so stay to the right side of that score line and just align yourself with the pocket below, the left hand side of the pocket, that is, straight line. Okay, now we have the other flap. We're going to do the same thing, place glue on that 1/2 inch strip, and this time align it with the right hand side of the page, and make sure that you fix it so that you are straight with the bottom of the first flap on the left hand side, and also straight with the right hand side of your page. I'm going to use those two guides to make sure that you are on there well before you burnish it. Okay, open it up, burnish again, open it up, burnish again. Okay, you have those overlapping flaps, you have a pocket, and you have a 1/2 inch gusset there. Okay, and then it will open up like so. And next we're going to be working on the inside of this page. Okay? All right, so let's start with the large pocket that we have. Do a dry fit here. Yes, okay. So we created this large pocket. We are going to go ahead and cut out those corners, like so. This one has the 3/4 inch flaps on either side. So we're going to fold those back and then fold that 1/2 inch underneath, that is the bottom of the pocket, and make sure that we burnish really well. All right, this is going to be a large pocket for the back side of this page. Okay. Next, yep. Okay, I'm going to set this aside for just a moment. You're going to bring out your pieces that you have that are 6 1/4 by 4 1/4, no scores on it. You have the 6 1/4 by 4 3/4, and you have a score line on the top. Okay, so we're going to burnish that. And you have two pieces that measure 6 3/4 inches by 4 1/4. You should have two of those, right? So you're going to burnish both of those. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with our 6 1/4 inch piece by 4 1/4 inch piece, and we're going to start with our piece that we have, the 1/2 inch, where we have two of them. I'm going to place glue on that 1/2 inch piece, and this is going to lay right on top of that 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch piece. Okay, so you should be able to glue it right down, and it should be the same size once it's glued down right onto the top. Okay, you open it up like that, close it again. Okay, next you're going to have that second piece that was the same, and go ahead and put glue on that flap, and we're going to glue this right down onto the top. It's going to have the fold on the same side. Okay, burnish that down just like so. Open it up, burnish it down. All right, so now we have that flap and that flap. Close those back up. Next you should have the piece that measures the 4 3/4 inches by 6 1/4. We have the flap that's going to be at the top, and this top piece is going to get glued underneath here, and it is going to wrap around the grouping that we just made. Okay, so we want to wrap it around like that. We're doing a little dry fit. Hold it together, turn it over, fold this back. I'm going to place glue on there. And then fold that down. Just like so. Okay, that is going to make that thickened edge at the top. So you're not going to see all of those flaps that are underneath. Okay, and you're going to have this flap up, then you're going to be able to have one flap to the right, two flaps to the right, and a piece underneath. All right. So your choice, if you want to put this one down first and then these over, it doesn't matter. I'm just choosing to do it this way, just like that. All right, bringing the album back in. Open this up. Where we left off is that we had this large pocket that we're going to place down here. So let me go ahead and glue that. You have your 3/4 inch flaps. All right, I'm going to align it at the very bottom, like so. Burnish that really well. Make sure that you're not over your score line. Make sure that you're all the way to the left here. All right. Then this is going to get placed here, centered from left to right, even with the top. But I am actually going to just use a paper clip to attach that for right now, because I do want to put a decorative paper underneath, and then I will glue this down on 3 sides so that it is a pocket. And I'm going to measure down 1 inch, so you can use your spacer. Align it with the top of your pocket here. Put this so you can see where that top of the pocket is. Okay, align it like so. And then use this as a guide so that you are straight in placing it. Okay, but like I said, I'm not going to glue it down just yet because I do want to put my decorative paper on. So I'm just going to attach it like that. And then you already have the left-hand side of your folio put together. And now we're going to go ahead and work on the right side. Okay, so for our right page, this is going to be the add-on page. We're going to start with the base piece, and the base piece again measures 10 inches by 9 inches, and on the 10-inch side at the top of your scoreboard, we're going to score that at 1 inch and 1.5 inches. Okay, is going to provide us our page with another 1/2 inch gusset. So just like we did before with the left side, we're going to end up with that 1/2 inch gusset there. Okay, so I'm going to place that aside. Now I'm going to be working on what is the outside of that base page, and we should have one piece that measures 4 3/4 inches by 6 7/8 inches. And what we're going to do is on the 4 3/4 inch side, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. And then we're going to rotate it, and we're going to score it on the 6 7/8 inch side at 1/2 inch on either side. So I'm going to rotate it and score it the second time at 1/2 inch. Okay, so we should end up with this pocket. And of course, with the pocket, we're going to go ahead and cut out those corners. Okay, just like so. All right, So place that aside. Then you should end up with two pieces that measure 4 1/4 inches wide by 6 3/4 inches. And on the 6 3/4 inch side at the top of your scoreboard, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. And you're going to have two of those, so we're going to do exactly the same thing. One is going to be a top flip, and one is going to be a bottom flip. So, meaning they're going to go like this, okay? They're going to get stacked on top of each other. They'll get glued down right onto that. Next, we're going to work on what's going to be the inside of this page. So we're going to have a tall pocket. So we're going to start out with a piece that measures 2 5/8 inches wide by 10 inches tall. And on the 2 5/8 inch side, you're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. Rotate it to the 10 inch side, and you're going to score it at 1/2 inch and 9 1/2 inches. All right, so with that pocket, again, we're going to go ahead and cut out those corners. And we'll set that aside. Okay, and then last, we're going to have two pieces that measure 6 3/4 inches by 9 inches. And with the 6 3/4 inches at the top, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. And we're going to do that with both sheets. All right, done with that scoreboard. All right, and that's going to be the right-hand side. So keep all of those pieces. My suggestion would be to keep all of those pieces together and paper clip them so you know those all stay together, because we're going to move right along to what's going to be attached to the back of the chipboard cover. So we're going to go ahead and start with the bottom pocket, and the bottom pocket is going to measure 8 1/2 by 8 3/4 inches. So with the 8 3/4 inches at the top, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. And then we're going to rotate it so that you have 8 1/2 at the top, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch and 8 inches. Okay, set it aside. Next, you're going to have a piece that measures 8 inches by 4 1/4 inches, and you're going to have two of these. On the 8 inch side, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. You should have two of those, and score it at 1/2 inch on the 8 inch side. Okay, and then lastly, for the back part of the chipboard cover, you're going to have a piece that measures 7 1/2 inches by 4 3/4 inches. And on the 4 3/4 inches at the tops, on the 4 3/4 inch side at the top of your scoreboard, you're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. Okay, so all of those are going to stay together, and that is what we're going to use for our chipboard cover, the back chipboard cover. Now, for the front of our chipboard cover, we're going to go ahead and finish up with the last pieces that we need for the album, for the base. And you need one sheet that measures 7 inches by 10 inches. This is going to be a pocket. So I want you to rotate this so that the 10 inches is at the top, and we're going to go ahead and score that at 1 inch. Okay, and that's all you're going to do, just the 1 inch. Okay, then you're going to have, from your scrap pieces that you've already cut, the remainder scrap pieces, I want you to find a piece that measures 2 inches wide, and we're going to make sure that that is cut down to 9 inches, or find a piece that you have already that measures 2 by 9. Okay, and on the 2-inch side, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. All right, then again from your scrap pieces, I want you to go ahead and cut down 2 pieces that are 1.5 inch by 7 inches. And on the 1.5 inch side, we're going to go ahead and score those at 1/2 inch. So we're going to do that both. 1.5 inch side, score it at 1/2 inch. Okay, lastly, we need 1 piece of acetate that measures 7 inches by 7 3/4 inches. And then we need 1 piece of acetate that measures 3 inches by 6 3/4 inches. And on the 3-inch side, we're going to go ahead and score that at 1/2 inch. So go ahead and score that a couple of times, as it is a little difficult to see the score line on a piece of acetate. So we're going to do that a few times. Okay, make sure you make that indent where you need it. Where is my other scoring tool? Let's try this one. Yeah. Need to use a little pressure in order to get that score to show up. Okay. Once you get it burnished really well, you should be good. It's like that. It's hard to see, I know, because it's clear, but that 1/2 inch flap is there. All right. Okay, we're done with our scoring. So now we're going to move along and paper clip these together so that I don't lose those. And we're going to work from the outside in again. So I'm bringing in my book, and I'm going to start with the page flap that comes out. So it has the 1/2 inch gusset on it. Okay. So here we are. This is going to be the 1/2 inch gusset again, just like we did on the front cover. We're going to attach this on the back cover, so we're going to flatten out our gusset, and then we're going to go ahead and add some glue to this 1 inch piece. Okay, and align that with the outside of your cover. Make sure it's straight on the outside, top and bottom. And then we can burnish that down. We're going to have that 1/2 inch gusset, and then you want to open it up and make sure to burnish that down really well as also. Okay. All right. With the piece that is facing you right now with this sheet folded in, we're going to go ahead and find our flaps. Okay, what we had. So you're going to have in a pocket. You're going to have a piece that is the bottom pocket. It's the 4 3/4 inches by 6 7/8 inches, and we're going to go ahead and fold on those score lines and burnish. Alright, so you end up with a pocket. And then you're going to have the 2 flaps that measured 4 1/4 by 6 3/4 inches. So I'm burnishing that 1/2 inch strip. Okay, so we are going to start with gluing the pocket. We're going to glue those flaps on either side and at the bottom. I got a little nub there. Okay. This is going to get glued. I'll put this here so you can see this inside piece. I'm going to align the bottom left-hand corner of the pocket with the bottom left-hand side of the page. It's going to give that corner, I think, some stability. And I am gluing this down. Am I gluing this down? Wait a minute. Nicole? I don't think I want to glue this down until I have the decorative paper down. Oopsies. That's a handy tool. Okay. Clean up the glue. Let's not do that. I need to put my decorative paper down first, but it is going to end up going right there. And then these two pieces are going to go here. This one I can glue, so I'm going to start with this one. And I'm going to line this right up to the top of this page, being careful not to go into that 1/2 inch gusset. So line it with the top of the page. So you can even flatten that gusset out a little bit to burnish. Okay. And then the second page is going to get glued right, the second flap is going to get glued right to the first flap, just like so. Okay. No, actually underneath. So we're going to place glue on that next 1/2 inch flap, and I'm placing this one underneath the first one and then aligning the outside. Or you can open up your book further and align it just like that. Now make sure when you overlap these that you're not getting into that score line because you need it to fold over. Okay. But this way it's attached. We haven't put, both of them are attached, and we haven't put this pocket on yet because we need to put our decorative paper down. So I'm just going to use my paper clip that I have somewhere, yeah, to attach that for the time being. All right, so moving along, we're going to open this up and work on this inside portion of our flat page. Okay. We should have a tall pocket, and let's go ahead and burnish all of those pieces. Okay. The towel pocket is going to go on the left-hand side here. Again, make sure that you don't get into that score line, okay? And the next two pieces are going to be your left flap and right flap, and those were the 6 3/4 inch in width by 9 inches. So let's go ahead and burnish those as well. I'm going to do a little bit of a dry fit here. Okay, so those are going to end up going like so and like so. All right. Now, because I need to add these flaps, I do want to go ahead and put my decorative. Do I want to put my decorative paper? Nope. We're going to add the flaps. On this one, we're going to add everything. So let's go ahead and glue our pocket. There we go. Align the bottom of the page and the top of the page there. Make sure you left a little bit of space next to that score line for your gusset. I'm going to start with the outer piece. The piece that's going to be glued to the outer edge anyhow, so I got to remove that paper clip for a moment. And then I can stick that down. Make sure I am in frame here. There we go. Make sure the bottom is straight, top is straight. Burnishing that down really well. Open it up, burnish it again. Okay. And then this one is going to get placed right here. You should have about 1/8 of an inch of a gap there. That's very important so that we can easily get in and out of our pocket. Okay. Place glue on that little flap. And we're going to go ahead and glue this down. Make sure that you, again, are not overlapping with your score line. You don't want that. And you're straight with the bottom of your page and the top of your page. So these should be able to close nicely, and then we'll end up putting something in the pocket there. Okay, burnish it down. Burnish it down. All right, I'm going to glue this, I'm going to paper clip this back again, this pocket. I have one there, and I'm going to grab another paper clip and paper clip that for a second, because I do need my decorative paper there. Straighten that out. All right, let's open this up and go ahead and start with the cover of the album. So for that, I should have the large pocket here. So I forgot to go ahead and cut out these squares at the bottom, so I'm going to do that. Okay. And fold down the sides. And then hold it up to the bottom. And give that a burnish. And this is going to end up going right here. Okay. This is going to go like that. And these are going to go like this. You can choose to do it either crisscross for these flaps to open like that, or in the same direction. I'm going to choose to do it in the same direction because I am right-handed. So it's going to make it a little easier for me to open. So I'm burnishing those score lines. Okay, all of them burnished. Like that. And I'm going to align this with the top of this bottom pocket. Okay, so right now I'm not attached to the cover of the album. I'm just going to work on this large pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and place glue on that top flap and align the top of the pocket here. Make sure you're gluing to the top and not to the bottom where you have the 1/2 inch folded over. Okay, straight on the sides. All right, go ahead and fold that up. All right, we're going to end up putting this here. That down right to that edge. Like that. And then we have one more to add on there. Burnish this one again. All right. Place our glue and go ahead and stick it down. Now this really lets you choose whether or not you want these two flaps to be on top or on the bottom. Either way, up to you, but I think it will stay closed better with the top flap being actually on the outside. So that's the way I'm going to do it. Okay, and then again, I'm not going to stick this down until I put my decorative paper, so I'm going to use this large paper clip to hold it together for the time being. Okay, that is the right hand side. We're going to come back to the very last thing to do, which is going to be on the inside cover for the left side. So this piece is going to end up here. We have the 2-inch wide piece, the 2-inch wide piece by 9 inches that we scored on the 2-inch side at 1/2 inch. I'm going to fold that under. That will go here. So we're going to place that first. So let's glue, take that thing off. Place glue on this little 1/2 inch flap. I don't know what else to call these. The attachment. And make sure that you place this all the way down at the bottom of your album or your folio, and it should be centered so that you're in the middle of any of those side gussets that we had. You're not overlapping those. Okay? Alright. Next, you're going to take this large pocket, and this is going to go just like so. So we're going to glue both of these 1/2 inch strips. Place glue on them. Okay. And then with this 2-inch flap open, we're going to go ahead and we're going to be using that as the bottom of our pocket. So you should be able to align the outside edges with that 2-inch wide piece so that it's straight, and then burnish that down. Okay. So when we end up closing this up, it's going to serve as the bottom of this pocket as well. Okay. Yeah. Now we have the two pieces that measure 1.5 inches wide, and those are going to go just like this on top of the large pocket we just placed down. Again, I'm going to choose to put this bottom piece on afterwards, but that's going to go there, that's going to go there, and the acetate piece that you have is going to end up going here and here. So I want to attach those first to the acetate, okay, and then the acetate pocket is going to go right here, just like so. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is flip these over. Let me get my acetate out of the way. Flip these over, and for this I'm going to use, you can use liquid glue because it's not going to show. It does take a little bit longer to dry. So I'm actually going to use my dry adhesive instead, score tape. So this is 1/4 inch score tape. Alright. And I am going to place this on the 1-inch piece. You see this 1/2 inch folded over? So I'm going to place this on the 1-inch piece. This is the back side of the 1-inch portion. Okay, like that. I'm going to do this on both of them. Ooh, it's hard to see, even sitting here in front of it. Okay. Like that. Burnish that backing. And now I'm going to use that to place my acetate. Right. But I want to make sure these are on first. Okay, this is going to be, just letting you know, a little bit tricky because we don't want that score tape to get in our way. But I'm going to go ahead and glue these pieces down. So place wet glue on that 1/2 inch. Align those with the outer edge of that larger pocket and make sure the top is flush here. So burnish that down. Okay, it should have this flap. Same thing on this side. I'm going to go right here. Burnish that down. Okay. And then what we're going to do is that I'm actually not going to attach I am not going to attach this piece to the acetate when we fold it up. I'm only going to attach it to these outer pieces of cardstock. So what I want to do is fold these in and fold the bottom up, and then I'm going to get my pencil and I'm just going to trace along the edge here so that I know that I can place glue down here, but not above it. Okay, so you can see that. I folded this up, I traced on top of it on both sides, I fold it down, and this is the location I want to put glue, but not above that line. Okay, so I'm not going to do that yet. What I am going to do is work with my acetate piece. Okay, and I'm going to put this down in the middle here. Okay, I'm aligning the top with the top edge of that large pocket, and then this is going to get placed just down just like so. Okay, let's do that. You can, if you don't want that to move on you, you can always use some of your little baby clips or another paper clip or something. Help hold with extra fingers, basically. So I'm going to take the backing off of that score tape, and then I'm just going to fold that over like so. Burnish it down really well. Fold this one over. Burnish it down. Okay. I'm going to place glue down here on this cardstock only, and this one. And then I'm going to fold this piece up and burnish those. Alright, nicely done. We now have an acetate pocket and then a large pocket underneath. So your next piece that you had was the second acetate piece, which we had burnished and folded over, and that should be sized to fit right in the middle here. And hopefully you're not crooked like I am. I needed that to be 7 inches, right? Yeah, 7 inches. So this piece is going to get your double-sided tape as well. Where did I place it? place that right to the top. Burnish that. I'm going to take that backing off, and then because I'm using 1/4 inch tape, I'm going to go ahead, or 3/8 inch tape, I don't know which. I'm going to go ahead and put a second piece there. All right. Took that backing off, and the other thing that I'm going to do is, because I don't like these points, I'm going to take my little corner rounders and I'm going to go ahead and round those corners. Okay, just like that. And then this is going to pop down inside of the acetate pocket, a little flap there with the double-sided tape. So I'm sticking it in and lifting up that acetate piece, centering it while holding it up, and then I'm going to let it set down so it's just over top of that acetate pocket piece. Okay, then you can open that back up and burnish that down real well. Okay, you won't end up seeing that double-sided tape because we will stick a decorative piece of paper down in there, but this will allow you to have an acetate flap pocket. And isn't that awesome? How cool is that? All right. Next, we're going to take our hole punch, a little crocodile, and it'll be easy if you do this before you put it down, but you know, that's not the way I do it. So I'm going to center that and punch a hole, and then I will center down at the bottom. Close enough, right? Then I am grabbing a scrap piece, and I want to have a 1-inch circle. So I'm going to grab my 1-inch circle punch. I'm going to go ahead and use my crocodile again to punch a hole in my scrap paper. That should be the center of my piece that I'm punching out the 1-inch circle. So I'm just eyeballing the center and then punching that out. I have one more to do here. So like that. And this is going to be used like so and like so. Okay. I am going to use a eyelet from my stash. So I have a little tiny eyelet here, and that's going to end up being in there. Placed in there. Well, it's so tiny. Okay, before it goes down. By the way, I'm not going to put decorative paper on this black piece, so if you wanted to put decorative paper, you need to do that before punching the hole. But I'm not going to do that. So I do want to place, though, my jute twine that I'm going to be using in here because this is going to be connected. So let me grab that. All right, so I have my hole punch there. I have my little eyelet. I have my hole punched 1-inch circle. I'm going to align those holes best I can, And while holding that together, somehow get this little teeny tiny eyelet in there. Okay, maybe stick it through that one first, and then the jute, or place this down and then put the jute in. How about that? We'll just wrap it around tightly. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's the ticket. All right, now let's see about getting this. Nope, that's not gonna work. So definitely sawing this apart. Mingling it. Oh. Okay, I'm going to edit that part of the video so that you don't do the same thing. Okay, place that in there. Now we're going to squish this on. All right, success. Now I get to glue this back. And this back. Good thing it's a Halloween album folio. Yeah. All right. Success. All right. Next, where's my little eyelet? I had another one here somewhere, and now I lost it. Okay. Guess I will find that one later. And I need another 1-inch circle. Oh, there we are. Okay, so this one I'm going to go ahead and place in there. Place into the hole in my acetate. And then go ahead and use my crocodile. Put that on. So now we have the jute twine that's attached here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap that around a couple more times, the bottom. And then we'll be able to wrap it underneath that 1-inch circle. Down here. And make our closure. Okay. And then I will just cut that off like so. All right. That is on. People, that is on. So now moving on, we need to do the decorative paper because that is our folio. And it is going to be awesome with all of our papers. So let's go ahead and cut down some papers, and we can go ahead with the matting of the decorative paper. Okay, welcome back. I am going to go ahead and give you all the measurements for the paper and finish gluing all of this down. So first we have the measurement for this dark teal decorative paper, and that measures 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. And then we have the My Colors cardstock that is Black Bear, and it measures 8 3/4 by 8 3/4 inches. So I am going to go ahead and glue this down because this temporary hold. Keeps on moving around on me anyhow. So I want to go ahead and get that down. I do think that I'm going to end up using a stencil that I have with bats on it in order to put some additional bats on the front of this with some, what do you call it, matte paste. I think that might be fun. Alright, so we've got this now. Just eyeball centering it down, and then I'll go ahead and give it a quick burnish. Just like that. Alright, I have the spine piece here, and that measures, as the black bear as well, that measures 1 3/4 inches by 8 3/4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and put my glue on that one. I'm not going to do the back yet because I'm paper piecing on the back, and I also want to glue it. So this is what the inside looks like, and let me move this over just a bit. Need more room on my desk. How is that possible? Okay, so this is the outward facing flap. On the left, we'll just start here. And so let me give you each of the measurements. I'm first going to take these out. These are 2 pieces of matting. They each measure 3 1/4 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches tall on the black artisan, and then the white is 3 by 4, so basically represents a photo. So then we have these 2 flaps here. And these white pieces measure 4 by 6. There are 4 of them. So you have one on this side of the flap, one that will be on this side of the flap, and then the same thing here, one on each side of the flap. So let's go ahead and get that glued down. All right. And then the leftover pieces here, these were my scraps, that measures 1 1/4 inches wide by 6 inches tall. And we have 4 of those because they are all adjacent to these white artisan pieces. And you can see that I did on the inside here, I did the orange carrot stick, My Colors cardstock. I'm going to try to glue these down as fast as I can, but still trying to be straight, of course. That way I can continue to give you all of the measurements here. I definitely always start with my larger pieces that I'm cutting, just so you know, and then I end with the filling in the smaller ones. Okay, so for this pocket, this measures 8 1/4 inches by 2 1/4 inches. So go ahead and do that one. So I suggest you just write down these measurements if you want to follow along with all the cutting, and that way I did do a video of me actually cutting all of the papers, well, measuring and cutting the way that I measure anyway, by using a pencil, making a notch. That's why I'm running through right now and giving you all the measurements on each page. Okay. hope you all like this project. I do think I want to make another one of these. I think it was really good for this type of paper that is more like, I consider it more like a collage type of paper. I don't know, I think it just works well with that type of paper. So this was super fun to put together. Alright, almost done with these. I'm using my art glitter glue for this, so it is quick dry. Alright, so this page here measures 8, let's see, just barely under 8 1/4 wide, and it measures 8 3/4 inches tall. So that's the back side of this. You can see that I cut this page first, and then the bottom that I had cut off, I went ahead and turned it over and used for the top of that pocket. Cover the top of the pocket. That all matted up. Stick those down in there. Pull this over, open it up, and we have the inside of this left piece. Okay. We cut this piece on the bottom out of this gray, and that's 8 1/4 inches wide by 6 7/8 inch tall. 6 7/8 inches. All right. This is from the ephemera pieces here. Okay, and then what I decided I wanted to do with this bundle is that I actually want to come down about 1.5 inches instead. During the tutorial I said I was planning on coming down 1 inch, but I'm going to use this 1.5 inch spacer because what I want to do is make sure that I have space to use this as a pocket, and I can put this photo mat in there. So let me do that. I'm going to place glue on the back side on just the sides, like so, not on the top, and then on the bottom. This is going to let this become a pocket. So let me make sure I have my spacer. I'm just using my fingernails really to hold that. Can you see? And then I am eyeballing it here to make sure it's in the center. So pretty close. I'm good with that. Burnish that down. Get that out of the way. All right. So these white mats measure 6 inches by 4 inches. Go ahead and put that on here. As the top flips up. I do think I want to put a magnet on that. So I have my little magnets here. Where's the backing? Alright. I'm going to use my double-sided tape. Separate those two magnets for a moment. Go ahead and double-side tape that down. Take the backing off of this one. And there are magnets that are available at Country Craft Creations, so definitely check that out. I'm going to put that so that the sticky side is facing up. Move that out of the way and close that down. Press down so that that magnet gets adhered there. And actually, Nicole, yeah, I'm just going to do it on that top layer. Because otherwise I think it's going to be too thick. So this is going to go here. Okay, this is a 6x4. I'm going to need to figure out what paper I want to put on there, but I need to cut another 6x4. Okay, and then what's going on here? What did I do? Ooh. A little glue on my paper, so be careful you don't do that. Stick that down and no one will know the difference. So here's another 6x4. For this bottom layer. Just like that. And that'll close just like so. Okay, then this mat measures 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 in black, and then the white is 6x4, and there's one on both sides. So now this is a pocket that can get stuck in just like so. And then we have, pull this out, we have this piece of paper. I cut the gray side first, measure it for the pocket, and then whatever was left of the 12-inch sheet, I'm actually just flipped it over and I'm sticking it down in the pocket. So the width of this is 8 1/4 and the height is 5 1/8. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on this. Take that out. This into the pocket, being careful not to go too far down. Make it straight across the top, and then burnish. I like how the little kitty cat is popping out of there. Alright, so that's in that pocket. Alright, so then this mat measures 7 1/4 inches wide by 8 1/4 inches tall. The white matting is 5 by 7 inches. The green celery is 1 7/8 inches by 8. Sorry, by 8. And then the black bear is 5 inches by 7/8 inches. Turn it over, and I have another 5 by 7 here so that it can be landscape. So the celery measures 3/4 inches wide and 5 1/4 inches. So 5 1/4 inches. And let me tell you again. Yeah. Okay, on the back side here, the landscape version, this is 7 1/4 by 5 1/4. Then we have a 3/4 inch wide carrot stick piece by 5 1/4 inch tall. The black bear is 8 inches, and that was a little short. That was a leftover piece, so it was 1 3/8 inches. And then I used one of the branding strips here, and it overlaps just a little bit on that black bear, just so that I could get that little bit of a gap, just a 1/16 inch of a gap. Okay, so that is the matting for that one. plenty of areas where I can add stickers. So let's move over to the center left-hand side here. And so what I did here is I pulled out one of the Idea-ology spiders, and on the end of the twine, I just looped it through. So I stuck it through the eyelet there, figured out where I wanted that spider to be, and then I went ahead and looped it through a second time. Well, no, I can't see to do it again. There we go. Okay, and pull that jute. All right, so I'm going to loosen this up a little bit. There we go. I wanted to hang about there, and now I'll go ahead and tie a knot on that end so that that little bitty spider stays where I want him to stay. So I'll just tie a little square knot back through there. Cut that off. All right. So I just went around like this, back and forth. Open this up. Okay, this piece here, we're going to pull out the pocket. I have 3 pieces of black artisan that measure 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. So then I have those with the white matting, and that measures 4 by 6. There's 3 of those. Then I have this piece of the Hallows Eve paper that measures 8 3/4 inches wide by 6 3/4 inches tall. So I'm going to go ahead and place a little bit of glue on this. Stick it down in the pocket. Now this one's going to be tricky because that acetate is going to want to touch all of my glue. Try to do this as fast as I can. And I'll just have to clean off the acetate afterwards. What can you say? Before it dries and sticks down. So let me get my rag here. Sorry if it's moving the camera. Just want to get this before it dries, because it's already drying. Okay. Wipe my water. There we go. Water soluble, so there we go. All right. So that is that. Let me put these back in. Now our paper is down in there. I should have burnished it. Of course I didn't. Wrap that around a few times. And there's my little spider. All right, let's move on. So I'm going to pull out that mat and this piece. So this piece measures 8 7/8 inches wide by 2 5/8 inches tall. And I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on that. Stick that down into the pocket there. Centering. All right, and we have this mat. This mat measures 7 3/4 inches wide by 8 inches tall. We have this white that measures 5 by 7 the carrot stick that measures 2 3/8 inches by 7. Then we have a 1/2 inch branding strip there and a little teeny tiny piece of the black bear, and that black bear measures 1/8 inch in width, and the length of both of those are 7.5. Turn it over, we have another 1/2 inch branding strip there. This white measures 7 1/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and then the black bear measures 2 1/8 by 7 1/4. So that is that photo mat. So I wanted to have a couple of spots where you could have a 5 by 7 photo. Oh, I do need to go ahead and glue these down as well. So let me do that real quick. All right, and then this one, just place a little glue under there, place a little glue under there. Okay. And I don't know if any of you remember, but I did not glue this to the acetate. So if you really wanted to, you know, put a couple of little photo mats in there, you can as well. That would be super cute. Just like that. All right. Let's see what we got here. Okay. So I don't want to forget. Have those two photo mats on the next page, so let's move over to there. Close that up. The matting here in the middle measures 1 7/8 inches in width by 8 3/4. Is that right? Oop, my head is in the way. 8 3/4 inches tall. All right, let's move on to this side. Okay, this pocket matting measures 5 5/8 inches wide by 4 1/8 inch wide. Tall, I'm sorry. Move that out of the way. I'm going to open this up real quick. All right, so this large piece of the decorative paper measures 8 3/8 inches wide by 8 3/4 inches tall. Okay, double check that one. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and glue this one down. Okay. Now I can glue this pocket. Put it all the way down at the bottom, even with the left-hand side and the bottom. Burnish that down. Again, these mats measure 3 1/4 inch in width, 4 1/4 inches tall, and then the white measures 3 by 4. Okay. On this flap, we have these white pieces that measure 4 by 6. So I'm going to go ahead and just place glue on the feet of this spider. Not on the front 2 feet. I want to be able to tuck something in. So I just want those back 4 to have glue on them. Okay. That way I can use that as a little bit of a tuck spot on the photo. Let's open it up. It's another 6x4 here. Go right there. Open it up. We have another 2 of the same 6x4. Frame. And I tell you what, if this wasn't artisan cardstock, this white artisan cardstock, then you would see all of the glue that I'm putting on here. I am trying to be light-handed, but it's just the thicker weight of the artisan. Avoid seeing that glue coming through. I did not put a magnet on this one only because that pocket is there and something sticking out of the pocket. It will hold it in just like that. Okay. We'll hold it shut, I mean. Alright, let's move on. We're going to move on to the inside of this right flap, so with the skeletons. And then I have 2 mats here that measure, again, 4 1/4 inches by 6 1/4 inches, and the white is 4 by 6. So I have 2 of those. Let me take this off the front. The Celery mat measures 6, let's see, just over 6 inches, maybe 6 1/16, probably cut it crooked, by 8 3/4 inches tall. And then the frog and skeleton paper measures 5 3/4 inches wide by 8 1/2 inches tall. Alright, so that's going to go on this flap. On this right page flap here. That's straight. Right. Centering that. I like the skeletons on this page. Don't care for the frog. I'm not a frog and spider person, but it is Halloween. Alright, let's open that up. So, let's move here. On the inside of that right flap, we have this white matting, and it measures 6 inches by 8 inches. And then we have this piece up here that measures 6 inches by 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Let me go ahead and get this down. Ooh. I'm going to need to put some more glue. Let me pause. All right, back at it. Let's see. This one glued on. All right, on this left-hand side flap, I have two pieces that measure 6 by 4. Put one at the bottom, one at the top. Glue that down. I do think that we can, yep, just stick another one of the branding strips there. So that's going to be 6 inches. Right down the middle. Okay. Now we have this piece of the gray. You can see that I'm putting it sideways, but that's okay. And that measures 2 inches by 8 3/4 inches. Yeah, just a hair under 2 inches actually, by 8 3/4 inches. You can see this is the bottom of that other side of the sheet. So now we have that tall pocket there. Open this up. We have another white that is 6 by 8, another orange up at the top that measures 3/4 inches by 6 inches in width. Then we have another one here that is the same thing. So this is 3/4 inches. This is the Black Bear. My colors, and this actually measures, again I probably cut a little crooked, but this measures just over 6 inches, so yeah, probably just cut crooked. And then the height of this measures, let's see, 7 7/8 inches actually. All right. So we have the left flap, the right flap, and then we have the tall pocket on the left, and these 2 pieces can go right in there. All right, last but not least, on the inside, it's going to be this piece here. It has this pocket with these flaps. So I'm going to move that out of the way real quick. We have this is the back side of our chipboard cover. This measures 8 7/8 inches in width by 8 3/4 inches tall. So let's go ahead and glue that down. Move that out of the way. Place that right in the middle. Just like so. Finish that down. Okay. Let me take that out. This is that pocket that we have. So we're going to be gluing this pocket down like this. I want to see just a little tiniest bit of orange at the bottom, and I'm just going to eyeball it on either side. So let me put glue on these 1/2 inch strips. Okay, so centered left to right. Set it down and just barely showing orange at the bottom. Okay, burnish that down. All right, this piece here measures 7 1/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Yeah. Oh, it's getting stopped up again. It's because I'm not putting the top on it. And it's a little bitty amount of glue. There we go. All right. We are nearing completion though. So this is not a pocket. This is just a decorative piece. It's not a separate pocket, I should say. It's just a decorative piece on the bottom section of this large pocket we just glued down. But we have this flap at the top. This measures 7 1/4 inches by 4 inches. It's the back side of the kitty cat, so if you wanted to put that there, that would look cool too. Place that down. Okay, and now when I pick this up, this top piece up, I'm going to be doing a magnet here. So, oh yeah. I started to glue this one down at the very beginning, and let me just give you the measurement for it, right? 7 1/4 inches by 4. So let me get 2 magnets here, because one of them I'm going to go ahead and shove underneath my paper there. Where's it at? magnet to pull the other one underneath. So then I'm just going to go ahead and place a little bead of glue there so I can finish cutting that down. All right. Go ahead and take that backing off the other side of the magnet. Use a little bit of double-sided tape, put the sticky side up, just like so. Push it down, pick it back up, and now you have that magnet there. Okay, so we have the artisan on this one. This is the same 7 1/4 by 4. This is the same 7 1/4 by 4. So we have those pieces. Now, I did have this one I want to go ahead and place here. Magnetize down. So the mat that goes into this large pocket measures 6 3/4 inches wide by 8 1/4 inches tall. The white matting measures 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. The green celery measures 6 1/4 by 3 3/4. And then it's the opposite on this side. So you have the white 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 and 3 3/4 by 6 1/4. So that mat will just slide right down into there. Okay, and now that is the inside of our folio. And the only thing left I have is this on the back. I think I'm going to do it like this. So I am paper piecing this top portion together. So the black bear piece measures 8 3/4 by 8 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and place that down here. So, and then I'm just lining these pieces up. These are just, like I said, scraps. This is 3 3/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. So I know I'm going to have this one here. This measures 4 3/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So I'm going to have that one here. How much does that overlap? Just a little bit. So I'm just going to place a little tiny bit of glue here. Make sure that's straight. I'm just gluing these pieces together. Okay. And then this one is going to get tucked underneath, like so. And this piece measures 4 3/4 by, what is it, 3 7/8 inches. And again, it's just a scrap piece. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up the outside edges. And then I'm going to place just a little tiniest bit of glue right there. Stick that down right here. Stick that down. I'm going to go ahead and stitch around this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this finished piece measures 8 1/4 inches by 8 1/4 inches. I have paper pieced everything together, and if you want that on the back side, you could have that on the back side. I'm just going to do this because I want a little bit of the cats and the owl on there. So I'm going to place my glue along the outside edge. Okay. And I'm going to center it as best I can. Isn't that pretty? I think it's pretty. So pretty. All right. What's left? Decorations. Decorations, my dear. I need to do decorations, but I really like the way that this turned out. I think it's super fun, and I hope to see you making one of these projects soon. Okay? Until next time, everyone. Happy crafting, you all. Goodbye.